Hello and welcome back to the Beyond the Coach podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kelsey Nanini,
And I'm Chris Sweet.
and I think as we say this every podcast. It's like I'm so excited for what we're going to talk about today. Just every podcast is an absolute banger.
I'm thinking about how, like, if YouTubers or something, if they're doing a haul, they'll be like, and this is so cute, and then this is so cute, and that's so cute. I'm like, and everything suddenly is cute, and you're like, so what is actually cute, right? We're like, we're so excited. What is actually excited?
You're like, what's actually like? What happens when you're actually excited for one? Like, it's
Yeah.
literally so good. Um, but we're gonna talk about our functional team today, but not just our functional team, just like in general, the importance of functional health and what that even is, what that looks like, why it is becoming so much more prevalent in today's day and age. And just kind of like shoot the shit about it. Talk about it. Not even just shoot the shit. We're actually going to give you real things to like consider with
We'll
it.
shoot the shit and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Two different things.
We'll
Two
see where
different
the
things.
day goes. We'll see where the pod takes us. But Chris, I actually, because you had found the functional team,
Yeah.
and you we integrated it into Apex, like brought them along with, as I was also like starting my cert like a couple months into it. So do you want to just talk about kind of like why you ended up going that route and why you ended up starting working with them?
Yeah, I got connected with our functional team through a friend of mine who is a physical therapist, and she works primarily with like postpartum women, and she has like a really cool niche. And I noticed that she was offering like via her social media like hormone tests, and she was suddenly talking about GI maps and all this stuff. And I was like, I wonder how she's doing that. And so then I ended up going on a trip with her and just got to kind of pick her brain. And she had introduced me to the functional team at that point. And this was probably year and a half, 2 years ago now. Like time flies where I'm like, when was that? That was like so long ago. But she had connected me with them and I did my initial call. And the reason that it was sparking my interest was I had so many clients going through frustrating cycles of just like trying to get answers from their doctors, like trying to just be heard from their doctors. I had clients who would go to their doctors and be like, hey, I want to get off birth control. Like, what can I expect this? Can I get this tested? Like, what should be this plan? And they were getting nothing, right? Like at all. And I've been there myself too. I've obviously talked about my functional journey so far and kind of what I've been doing. And for me, it was the same frustration. I would go to my doctor and I'd be like, hey, I'm having all these GI symptoms. What does the doctor do? They immediately want to give you a colonoscopy. And I'm like, that's not what I wanted. Like that wasn't like, I don't want you
Please
to
no, I'd like to wait until I'm 60, 50 for that.
I don't need a tube up there. Like I'm fine. Like I'm good. I promise I'm fine. And I was like, why are we choosing the most fucking invasive way to get to the bottom of something? Like you would think it would be easier to say, hey, let's start with like the least invasive stuff and then we'll like peel the onion layers back, and if we have to get to that point, fine. But from like a general standpoint of me being like, hey, I'm dealing with bloating and I'm dealing with this and this and this, colonoscopy, like immediately what any doctor was saying to me. Or they wanted to put me on some sort of, prescription. And I was like, I don't want to be on a prescription. I don't want to have to be on something that way without any sort of game plan of like what comes after that or how are we healing my body. So I had experienced it firsthand, and then I had noticed it in my own clients, of clients coming to me and being like, I'm dealing with chronic bloating, I'm dealing with this and fatigue. And based on if they were, especially like the demographic age range of who we work with, a lot of women were coming off of birth control and were wanting to prepare their bodies to try to have a kid in the next few years, right? Or they were even postpartum and they were like, I want to just figure out my body again. Like, I've been breastfeeding for a year and now I want to just figure out, like, embody that. And I really want to figure out like how to understand what my body needs after it's gone through so many changes. So I was just noticing a trend and I said, okay, versus me sending all of my clients away and having to be like, well, go talk to this doctor or go spend $1,000 a month on like this practitioner and this person, right? Who's like, your insurance doesn't cover it. I wanted to find a way to make, at the time, Revolution kind of a little bit more of like a one-stop shop. I was like, how can someone come in and just get what they need without doing all the workarounds, without having to go from this, because that was the other thing. You go to your physician and then they refer you to one person and that person refers you to another person. And then you're going to this appointment and suddenly, even just to figure out what specialist you need to speak to, that takes 6 months, especially with the wait times that doctors have. Like, it's insane to just try to go find somebody to speak to, let alone get a test done at that point. So you're looking at all these crazy timelines, you're looking at all these workarounds. And I just wanted Revolution to be that one-stop shop where someone could come in, we could get answers sooner, we could start actually working towards something sooner, and actually have people who were certified and credentialed to do just that. Because at the time, I didn't really have interest in getting my own certifications in it. I didn't have the bandwidth to go get my own certifications in it. I was obviously CEO, running the team, trying to just like balance a bunch of other things in even my personal life. I just wanted it to be something that I could bring in the specialist that I trusted, and my clients would get what they needed. So that essentially is how we started providing the services. I met with Krista, who is our primary contact within the functional team. And now she works really intimately within our business, which we'll talk about. But she's been really great ever since. And, you know, it's definitely been a learning curve for me to just figure out like, how do we make this better and better and better, which is where I'm really excited with what we've done within Apex to just continuously improve this thing. But I love the messages now when a client gets off a call with the functional team after they've gotten their test read and they're like, wow, I could cry. That was like the most time I've ever spent with someone where they'll actually listen to my problems. Like, most doctors, you know, you get 5-10 minutes with them. They're like, okay, cool. Let me plug this into my online database and send you to the next person. You get a whole 45 to 60 minutes with our functional team when you get your readings done. Doctors give you a phone call and tell you if something's normal or not. And that's not even the doctor calling you. It's usually a nurse. And no offense to nurses, but it's like, sometimes you just want the doctor to tell you what's going on. Like, you want to be able to ask questions. And now you're starting to play phone tag. Now you're starting to play telephone of like, hey nurse, thanks for reading this to me. What about this question, this question, this question? Okay, yeah, I'll get back to you. And then you don't hear back for another week. That is frustrating. So I really wanted to put an end to all of that.
Yeah, and to that point, you know, doctors will just look at the normal ranges. And the crazy part with when you're thinking of a normal range, that is just the average population. They're just taking into account people that have done this test, and then that's what the normal range is considered. It's not functionally optimal. It's just the normal range. For instance, one of the most ridiculous normal ranges that there is, in my opinion, because almost every single person, I will say, in the United States, actually probably in the world, is deficient in vitamin D, which is a very important vitamin, like a very important vitamin for us, for just overall health, not even just immunity or one thing or the other. It's important for a lot of different functions of the body. The normal range is 30 to 10,000. So you could have somebody that's at 38. And when you're really looking at that on the grand scheme of like a grand scale, that's so low. Even like an 1,000 to 10,000 range is a big range, right? So that's the other issue you're seeing with doctors. But it was much the same for me. When I got it was actually a year ago now that I started to explore getting into the functional cert that I'm in, and there's 3 different levels to it. I'm still in level 2 because when we merged Apex, honestly, I was like, there's so much going on. I don't even have time to take out of my day to continue to do this. But as we've started to make improvements to the functional side and having more support for our coaches and our clients, we're now bringing in more of that functional side, more than just like a supplement protocol, which those are obviously very important, but it's also including a lifestyle and nutrition protocol. And that's where my role kind of comes in. But that was largely, to your point, why I decided to do the cert was I wanted a one-stop shop. I didn't want, like, I kept having all these clients, and this was just when it was just me. I didn't even have like an assistant coach at this point. It was when I'd taken my hiatus from having one. But I was like, I'm having all these clients have all these things come up, and I truly do not know how to support them. I know training and nutrition and mindset, some mindset stuff, but like, I don't know anything about the functional space. And honestly, I thought the functional space was a little woo-woo. I'm not going to lie. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. This is witchcraft. But I hired this registered dietitian to work alongside my team, but it just wasn't a good fit. I was like paying her, and then it was a whole thing. It wasn't really helpful in my business. So I was like, you know what? I can't trust anyone. I'm just going to do it myself. And that's why I got the cert, because I was like, I actually just want to know more information about this. And I will say I've learned so much about what is actually going on in our world. And I was the person who was like, oh, you know what, you hear about detoxes. The way you did a detox, right? And you're like, this is not a tea detox. This isn't a juice cleanse. I'm literally eating, over 2,000 calories of like whole foods. I'm eating so much, but I'm also taking these supplements to help detox my liver. And I was the person who was, before I went into the cert, that was like, you don't need to detox your liver. Your liver literally detoxes the body. Like that is what the liver's job is to excrete waste out of the body. And with the help of like the kidneys and all the other functions of the body, I was like, that's not necessary. But when you really consider how much different our world is now from how kidneys function even 100 years ago, you have so much more pollution, so many more chemicals that are in the air. Not even just that, but you also have the stress load of people. People are just in general a lot more stressed nowadays. You have more anxiety disorders and all the things that are happening that compound stress on your body, stress to your liver. And now you have all of these like external environmental factors that are literally beating down your liver. And that can cause a cascade of issues as well. So it's been really cool for me to just learn and actually start to believe in the functional side. And I know for a lot of people who are more on the Western medicine side of things, it can be very hard to buy into the functional side of things. But when you actually learn about the functional side, you're like, this makes so much sense. Like there's actually no possible way that this isn't a real thing happening, because there's so much data and evidence to back it up. And I truly believe like functional is going to change the way the space operates. And if you don't have functional support right now as a coach, it's something that you should get on immediately, because the way the world is going and the way what we're seeing with clients, damn near everyone is going to need functional support at some point.
Yeah, especially just like the average lifestyle client. I mean, like everybody at this point, or I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of the coaches that we work with, their clients, reach a point where like weight loss resistance is like really, really prevalent. And what I love about functional, and like what I love about what we've done with functional, is it isn't just, hey, take these supplements, follow every other habit the same, and follow your life the exact same way you've been doing it for the last 20 years. How you've been living your life at some point along the way ultimately got you to this point. Like there's some sort of dysfunction that started happening. And then like for me, a lot of the foods I was having were like actually feeding an overgrowth in my GI that eventually started obviously compounding into the symptoms that I was having, and very quickly got intense for me. And so I used to not believe in the whole idea of like restrict this food and never eat this food and go gluten free and do dairy free and do all of that. Autzen agrees with me. Like
he's like, yeah, don't do that. Like have everything.
He's like, I love my grain.
I love whipped cream. Dairy
I love
is great.
all my grains and my yogurt and my pup cups. Like, why? No, Auntie Chris, don't say that. Like, don't tell the people.
Shut up, Mom's gonna hear you.
Don't tell the people. But I really never believed that, like for the longest time. And like, if you guys go back to the beginning of my, Instagram, when I was in 2019, I was very much in that mindset of like, if it fits your macros, eat it. Like that was the culture back then. The culture has shifted a lot. Like social media back then was if it fits your macros and bodybuilding.com. And that was like the whole industry. Now it's very much blood work, hormone tests, GI maps, how to eat, holistic health, like that kind of stuff is really starting, like it's all over my Instagram. So knowing that functional isn't just supplementation, it's also not just like a pharmaceutical drug that you're taking. It's literally changing your lifestyle. It's how do you change your lifestyle to be more optimal for literally living. And because of that, you get to live better. And I think that it creates a lot of mindset shifts for people, because you get challenged a lot. Like I've been challenged a lot over these last like 6 weeks that I've been on my protocol. But it's funny because like I now can't even think about doing some of the choices at which I made 6 weeks ago. Like I can't imagine going to a restaurant right now and getting like fried food. Like it gives me the ick. Whereas before I loved like a fried chicken sandwich. Now don't get me wrong, I love a Chick-fil-A sandwich. I
I
don't think I'll
mean,
ever
yeah, well, like Chick-fil-A doesn't count, okay?
Chick-fil-A,
Chick-fil-A doesn't count as fast food. It doesn't
whatever.
count as no.
It
Don't
just, yeah.
touch Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, I'm not going to hate on Chick-fil-A. But like I would go to a restaurant, I loved a buffalo chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I can't even fathom thinking of that. But it's simply because I was giving it to myself for so long, and yes, I've restricted it, but now like my body literally internally has changed to where like I don't have those intense cravings. But it's a learning curve for so many people. And had you told me in 2019 that this is what I'd be doing today and not having gluten and restricting dairy and all of that, I would have been like, no fucking way. Like, I'm going to eat whatever I want. Like, if it fits my macros, I'll be fine.
Yep.
No, because metabolically speaking, my body isn't going to be able to process and also digest all food the same. Yes, an Oreo, I always remember, like, this was really big in 2019, was everyone was like, you could have an Oreo or an apple. They're like the same macros practically. That was a whole big thing. Yes, they both have carbs. However, look at the ingredient list. You can't even find an ingredient list on an apple for a reason because it's literally a whole food. It's like
It's an apple.
It's an apple.
Just apple.
If you look at the ingredient list for an Oreo, there's a lot of different things on there. So it's that knowledge that I think is really starting to come out more that has shifted a lot since 2019, 2020 timeframe.
Yeah, absolutely. I was totally an if it fits your macros gal. I thought when you said Oreo that you were going to bring up the microwaved Quest bar that people were like,
Oh.
it tastes like a cookie. Actually,
No.
like thinking of a Quest bar makes me want to like
Okay,
dry
I'm so happy you have this thought because there are still people to this day that I talk to and they're like, I love Quest bars. I'm like, I think they taste like literally stale crackers. Like they just like crumble in my mouth in a weird
the
way. And I'm like,
texture.
no, 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 no.
I don't even have Quest products anymore because Quest bars ruined it for me.
Yeah, I can't.
The only bar I'll have is G2G, and it's because it's like it has to be refrigerated. I want a bar that's refrigerated. Like it's the only one I'll eat. But to that point, like if it fits your macros, yes, we all looked shredded and lean because we were hitting a macro amount. That doesn't necessarily tell the whole story of internally, because now we're seeing all these gut issues and metabolic issues come up because you can't just say like hit this protein, carb, and fat amount, not even pay attention to fiber, and just literally destroy your insides. But it's that mixed with, we're seeing it in a lot of different age groups for different reasons. We're seeing it in perimenopause women, in their, women in their 40s, 50s, 60s. When you think about the timeline of their life, and this is something we work a lot with our Apex Coach Accelerator coaches on if they have elderly clients. And I'm not saying you're elderly if you're in your 40s, but women who are in their 60s plus, like just in general, you think about the timeline of their life. And they lived through the Beachbody era, the Weight Watchers era, South Beach diet, Atkins diet, all the different diets. Then they lived through the step aerobics class era, and they lived in the era where you wanted to be as thin as possible. Like having a butt was like a no-go. You wanted to be super tiny. They've been dieting potentially for 20 plus years at this point, and that puts a lot of strain on your body. And I always, tell people it's like the amount of time you've been doing whatever act it is that's been building up to your body, it's going to probably take that same amount of time to heal it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. It's not to say it can't come faster than 20 years, but like think about everything you've been literally just like pouring into your body for that long. So that's one of the age groups we're seeing that are having a lot of dysfunction, and menopause now as a result is a lot more intense. My mom always sends me videos from this lady, Dr. Mary Claire Haver. And
You brought her up so many times where I'm like, Dr. Mary Claire. I'm like, just Dr. Mary Claire.
Yes, I see her videos all the time. I love it because she promotes menopausal women having muscle. And that's something that was never, and it's something I'm always so curious about for this generation, because while yes, we do have an obesity epidemic, we also have an epidemic of young people wanting to go to the gym. So I'm so interested to see like how that shifts and how maybe menopause does change for our generation, because something that really does help is having more muscle mass. not being so frail when you're going into those formative years, or not formative years, those later years. These are our formative years.
I mean, I guess they can be formative if you want.
Sure, yeah, it depends on what you're forming into, I guess. Um,
But a
but
couple formative times later in life. I mean, let's face it.
the whole life, honestly, your whole life is formative if we're being honest. But like my mom's generation, I remember doing Taebo with her in the living room. This is my favorite move. But she never did weights, right? Like her version of weights was walking with, like, she had these like dome shaped dumbbells that were like 2 or 3 pounds. She'd hold them and go walking. That was like the weights back then in the early 2000s and the 90s. And so it's so interesting now, but now she is getting into lifting heavier and trying to bring that into, postmenopausal and all that. So that's one generation. We also have our generation who was put on birth control at 13, 14 years old. Hey, it's me. I'm very thankful that I just told myself to get off of it at 23, because I think that actually helped me just by not being on it for most of my 20s. But it is, it literally suppresses hormones and changes your hormones from a young age. When I got on it 4 years after I started my period. So I think hopefully my hormones did some things, but some got on it as soon as their period started.
Yeah. I was one of those people, yeah. And then I didn't get off of it until I developed blood clots because of it. So it's it just going into even just risk factors. There's so many things as young, impressionable girls that we were told to just put in our bodies without questioning, what are the effects of that? What is the risk? And I'm not saying don't go on birth control because you'll get blood clots. Make a decision, make an informed decision for your body. None of us were informed with what was going in our body and what the effects were going to be of that after 10 plus years on it.
For sure. And it wasn't something that's supposed to be in your body for 10 plus years straight. I remember my mom was so questioning it, putting me on it. And that's the thing is, like you said, it is a lack of education, because I got on it solely because I was not sexually active until I was 20 years old.
I can tell you I was not having sex at 12 years old. I can let you know that right now.
Did not need to be on that, but that was the answer, because I had such heavy periods. I would go through it at 14 years old. I would go through a super tampon in 5 minutes. Yeah. And I was like, I can't do this at school. It was ridiculous and just really painful, but no one at the time, I wasn't worried about nutrition. I was a kid. And that doesn't mean I need to be obsessed about nutrition, but I had no nutrition. I was an athlete who didn't really think anything of nutrition. I just ate whatever was obviously fed to me, which was a lot of not a lot of protein. And we didn't eat horrible, but there's so many other things that factor. I was really, really active, and there's no education for that. It's just go on the pill, but not to harp on that. That's one of the factors that's, affecting us as women, but also fad diets, all the different little things that are coming up, and constantly trying to eat as little as possible. That's a huge one of the 1,200 calorie diets, the 800 calorie diets. Now we're seeing Optavia, and I fear now we're seeing the Ozempic for people that don't need to be on it. There's some people who genuinely need to be on it. There's other people who are taking it to lose the last 5 to 10 pounds. And there's no saying the long-term effects of what that's going to do, because now you are under eating. And just a ton of other factors as well, that are playing into our generation. And then all generations in general, it's stress. That's the number one factor. We live in a go, go, go society. People, when they aren't driving their kids to sporting events, sitting in traffic, going to work, doing all those other things, they're scrolling on their phone. There's no downtime. Going to bed, scrolling on your phone, going to bed, staring at blue light, staying up really late, not having a circadian rhythm, that now there's a lot of compounding facts people don't realize. And it's not to say, it's kind of like the Oreo and the apple. It's not to say you can't have an Oreo. It's also not to say you can't some days stay up later, or some days scroll on your phone till you fall asleep. We all do it. But if that's something that's happening daily, it is putting compound stress onto your body. And that in turn can quite literally cross wires, ruin messages between, that's what hormones are, they're messengers, messages get all jumbled up. And then now we have hormone dysfunction, we have metabolic dysfunction, GI issues, because as a result, typically, of the hormone metabolic issue, it's all a cascade. It's all related. And we're seeing a lot of that now, which is scary, but it's also helpful because there are companies like ours that genuinely want to help and help people get to the bottom of why that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And it all does, and all of what you're saying goes back into the functional side of things and why functional even exists in the first place. And the pillars that what we, work with our clients through is like, yes, they're put on a, supplement protocol. Ideally not for the rest of their lives. Now, I will say there are maintenance supplements that are really beneficial, especially if you're deficient in some things, depending on what your labs come back as. But it's meant to be something where, hey, you've got supplementation. It's meant to really tackle and support your body in the immediate moment that you need it to. It can be pretty aggressive at times, but then you're also looking at 3 other factors. We're looking at nutrition, we're looking at training, and then we're looking at parasympathetic and nervous system work. Like, those are the main boxes that we're looking to check for someone. And those are all the boxes someone typically needs to change. Like, even for me, being an athlete and then being a trainer and all the things going into my GI protocol, I literally had to change something in all of those boxes. Like, not one box stayed the same. Like, they all needed something to be different. And to your point, it's like, I think it was Dayla who she posted something one time, and it was about like, it was the compounding of habits. And I think she literally had like pens or something small. She basically bought boxes of like thousands of these things. And she was like, hey, this is one day of you off track. This is now another day of you off track, and another day. And now here's 300. And it was like her kitchen table. And all of a sudden her kitchen table was like full with like the pens or whatever it was. I wish I could think about what she had. But it was a really good visual to show you, hey, yeah, that one time you had that Oreo, not a problem. Hey, listen, I love an Oreo from time to time. They're delicious. They're great. But if you have an Oreo every day for 365 days, what is that going to do? What does it do then when it's compounded now across 10 years? Like, some people's habits aren't just something that's been a bad habit for 3 months. It's, oh shit, this has been a bad habit. I mean, TikTok came up in 2020, like, is when it really popped off. We're now 5 years into people probably chronically being on their phones a lot more than they were prior to TikTok existing. So you just look at how time flies and how these things compound and how suddenly they just become the norm. Like, a routine that didn't exist suddenly does. And that's the whole point of it. So when it comes to functional, it can feel really aggressive at times, but it's meant to be, because we are literally trying to reverse that stuff. And it's not easy, but like, it's genuinely not. I always say this, it's not meant to be easy, because if it was, everyone would be doing it and the whole country would be in a much different state of health right now.
I remember we had an ACA client she came to us and she's like, hey, I put this because our Apex Coach Accelerator clients, they do, if they would like to add on the functional team support, they can do that, which is a really big perk to our ACA clients. And she came to me and she's like, hey, this client's really struggling with getting on this protocol. This might have been a girl in our cohort, actually. It was. She wanted she wasn't even working with our functional team. She was just asking me the questions. And I was like, hey, here's the things that I would do. And it was literally just Mediterranean diet and managing stress. Like, those were the 2 things. And I mentioned like a couple supplements that could help with her stress management if she's really not able to manage her stress. And she's like, hey, she's just coming back saying this is really restrictive. And I was like, good. It should feel restrictive, because the thing is, the reason why you're in the spot you are is because you haven't had any restriction. And kind of like you were saying back in 2017, 18, 19, 20, we were all about balance and not having restriction. And I still am. Let me be clear. I still am the coach who's like, hey, I don't want you to ever feel restricted, but there's an asterisk to that. The asterisk is, during a functional protocol, you should feel restricted, because if you restrict the habits that have compounded to get you to where you are, if you restrict those for even 30 days, 45 days, up to 90 days, that's 3 months of your time, first of all. Like, is that really going to kill you? No, it's actually going to do quite the opposite.
Yeah. And
But
it's so
you're going
funny.
to notice such a change.
I was about to say, people will say that's restrictive, but then like give it 30 days and they feel like $1 million. And it's like, is it restrictive anymore? Because actually now you get more of the ability to go do the shit you want to do. Like,
Yeah.
That's been my big thing is like when I was not to bring it back, but because I am in my GI protocol right
Yeah.
now, it's like very relevant where, you know, when I was told, hey, like we're gonna restrict gluten, we're gonna do this, no alcohol, no caffeine, no nothing. I literally was like, I did have that moment of like, holy shit, like how am I gonna live my life? Like these are like the things that I love to do. Like and
Yeah.
you know, it's just it's hard.
Yeah.
Even I had to have that moment. And my coach has been really great supporting me through that. And I've learned a lot from, you know, seeing how she supports me for me to be able to support my clients better and like just have different tactics coming out of it.
Mhm.
But like a really big thing for me was before I went on my protocol, my bloating was so bad. It actually brought me back to when I was in college. I was dealing with really bad bloating. Like if I ate like something that triggered me, I mean at the time I had IBS, like who freaking knows what was actually going on, but talking about doctors, they just put blanket terms on
Yep.
your symptoms. But it got to the point where like some holidays I would have like some stuffing and it would just trigger me and I would then be laying
Mm.
horizontal on the couch because my energy suddenly would plummet and I would just be so bloated, so uncomfortable, cramping. I wouldn't want to go hang out with my cousins after to like hang out with them and see them. Like I would literally just not go to events. At the tail end of like what I was dealing with currently, it really got worse after like Mexico. I definitely think something from Mexico definitely compounded into what or just triggered whatever I ended up going through after.
Yeah.
And it got to the point again where I was like, I don't want to go out because like I'm uncomfortable, I'm bloated, I'm cramping. Like I actually don't want to have these experiences. That was restrictive. That was restricting me. And I wasn't able to do like at the time anything about it versus now on the protocol that I'm on, I'm like, I'm going into my brother's wedding weekend and I'm feeling really good about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool. I can't wait to feel great on my brother's wedding weekend. Like I can't wait to feel good looking. Even Frankie's like, yeah, I can't wait to
He's
feel
like,
good
yeah,
too.
I'm excited for you to feel good, Mom.
But truly, like I can't wait to feel good and probably better than I would have had I not gone on this protocol, basically.
Yeah, it's like and I think a lot of people also see the price tag. It's expensive. It's expensive to get help. They're like, I could do it cheaper through my doctor, and I'm like, I mean, you still technically have to pay insurance. Like, unless you're filled your deductible, you still gotta pay something. And I have always said, and this is something that my husband and I always agreed on, is that there's no hypothetically, virtually no limit, not hypothetically. There is virtually no limit to what I would be willing to spend on my health if it meant that I felt better, because your health quite literally determines your entire life. It determines your mindset. We're seeing a lot of, I mentioned, like kind anxiety, depressive orders, mood disorders, all those things that actually can come as a result of GI problems, because your GI is your second brain, and we're actually seeing a correlation of that. I want to be able to be as healthy as possible for longevity, but also for right now, for how I feel on a day-to-day basis, to have energy when I wake up to when I go to bed, and in general just be able to function the way I want to function. There's a cost and a price. The price is really, really high on. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we obviously try to make it a little bit cheaper because we pay for an initial test for clients. Supplements aren't cheap. Food isn't cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But at what cost is it? Is it gonna cost, like, that price far outweighs the cost of being super uncomfortable and super unhappy in your body, and also the potential cost of issues down the road. In my functional cert, I'm in the cardiovascular health section, and you'd be surprised, people who look as healthy as possible actually are at high risk of CVD, of cardiovascular disease. And they estimated this crazy fact that actually just like blew my mind. First off, cardiovascular disease kills one in every three deaths. It's like 1 in every 3 deaths in the US yearly. They estimated by the year 2030, which is less than 5 years away, it's basically 4 years away, 43.9% of the population will have some sort of cardiovascular disease.
That's insane.
And like, it's not just people who smoke, obese people. It's not just that. It's people who just don't take care of themselves.
Well, it's the people that say it can never be me. It'll never be me.
Yep. It's a silent killer, and heart attacks kill 50% of the people who have one. And that's terrifying to me. So I think just being your own advocate and being able to be proactive instead of reactive, when we're living in an extremely unhealthy world, even though there is a really healthy side, I actually don't see the unhealthy side as much because I see people coming in wanting to change. I don't see the side of the people who are like, I don't give a shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
it couldn't be me. I just don't understand that. And I get the cost, but I'm like, at what price? And I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money.
Mhm.
Is it worth it to just put it on a credit card and pay it off over time if it means you get answers? I don't know.
Absolutely.
To me, it
Well,
is.
and also when you say down the road, right, the cost of that, but also the price then of that, right? So when you're looking at like down the road to the point of insurance, to the point of different coverage, to the point of even just adaptations you need to make in your home, like
Yeah.
it's expensive. Like it's really expensive when
Yeah.
your health actually gets impacted to that degree. And I hate to be like super morbid like that, but it was even like my stepmom that passed away, she ended up having pancreatic cancer. And like when I saw the expense of her literally having cancer, she ended up in a wheelchair. They needed to completely adapt their home. So out of pocket cost of literally building a ramp and getting her the wheelchair and getting her all these things. And then adapting the entire house to obviously her needs. That
Yeah.
shit's expensive. And I'm not saying you're going to end up in a wheelchair. That's not what I'm saying. But like, unfortunately, we actually have to hear the extremes to finally let it hit for us to be like, oh shit, like that and time flies. The last 5 years have flown by. So yeah, the
Crazy.
next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they're probably going to fly. It's going to be really overwhelming. And at some point, you pay for it. It just sucks when you do have to pay for it down the road because it's probably going to be a lot more expensive than a few $100s a month of supplements.
Yeah. And I always like, I think a really good challenge if you're a coach listening to this and you have a client who's really kind of like you're butting heads and about going into a functional protocol or about even like testing or anything in general. Sorry, I like noticed I burned my thumb the other day on steamed broccoli, and
I saw you look down at your hand. I was like, what's happening?
yeah, there's like a gnarly blister that popped yesterday, and I thought I was bleeding, but it's just the open wound. Um, anyways, if you're a coach listening to this, squirrel, and you have a client who is just really like nervous about a protocol, really scared of starting it, I would challenge them and be like, hey, like, have you ever done a diet? And like, they're like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's 2025. Everyone's
Done
done
a
a
lot of
diet.
those.
Be like, what were the protocols of the fad diet? And how long did you stick to them?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people stick to fad diets for quite some time. Like, even like, I know a lot of people who did Optavia. It's an 800 calorie diet. Whereas the functional protocols, we're actually getting you to eat more. You just got to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and it does require more preparation.
Mm-hmm.
But you stuck to a fad diet that was quite literally putting you in this place before. If you can stick to a fad diet, you can stick to this.
With
I
a
feel
list
like
of foods that is more than any fat diet was ever
yeah,
given.
you can eat so much. Like
Mhm.
I remember the first time I did Advocare.
Mhm.
And that was what honestly like kind of sparked weight loss for me when I didn't need to lose weight. I just needed to gain muscle. But anyways, way back in 2014, Kelsey, trying to lose weight to play college volleyball when I didn't need to. It was so restrictive. It was like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you had like a protein and a fruit and like I think a carb only at breakfast and lunch. So that was my rule for years, no carbs at dinner. And then you had like nuts for a snack and maybe a fruit, and then I had all these supplements. So like I feel like I was kind of on the protocol, but no salt. I couldn't salt my food. I had to get saltless seasoning when like Kelsey, you're a college athlete. You need sodium.
I was
Like,
about to
you
say, it's funny.
quite
My functional protocol, literally, it's like
salt.
salt, like salt everything. Himalayan pink salt literally stays on my counter. I don't put
Yeah.
it away because everything is salted.
Literally. And like we all followed some crazy restriction like that. And I mean, I saw great results. I saw way less bloating as well. I think part of what are the supplements. I had no idea what the supplements were. I just ordered this 24-day challenge kit and it came to me and I was like, sick. This is what I take now. It was like what like I didn't even ask questions given. I was 19. But no questions asked. I just did the thing. We have so much more research with the products that we're using through the functional team. And I think that's a really helpful part too, is you're getting a practitioner They have a medical board. They have a medical director who is licensed for our specific functional team. He's licensed in all 50 states. So it's kind of cool that the functional team we use, it's like the handshake emoji. It's like where functional meets like Western medicine, because they've all been in some sort of like brick and mortar. That's where the functional team was for 20 years, in a brick and mortar, and then went online. And, you know, they have done their fair share of Western medicine. And I think for me, that's a big thing is I'm not anti-Western medicine. I'm not anti-doctor, but I am pro figuring out a blend of it, because sometimes going full on all Western medicine isn't necessarily going to heal you in the way that you want to. There's restrictions on insurance. I've had people that are like, I'll tell my doctor I want to get my thyroid tested, and like my thyroid hormone, my T3, my T4, and they won't test all of them. They'll only test like thyroid stimulating hormone. And it's like, what?
That's the funny thing. If you can't, the amount of clients that come to me and they're like, oh, I'm just going to, oh, I just did blood work through my doctor at my like last physical, and they give you the blood work, they give you the results.
And so she's your platelets.
And I'm like, this actually wasn't comprehensive at all. Like, no. Versus what we do is so comprehensive. So like, that's the other thing is like, you don't need to know. Like, to anyone who is listening, who is a coach, or like you just are potentially wanting to get yourself like tested for whatever, you don't have to know, but you do need to be able to advocate for what you need. So by advocating or by having that ability, you need someone who does know. Like, you need to have someone in your corner. And that's what's really great with like our functional team is we've gotten to really bridge a lot of gaps that have been missing for clients through years of getting blood work checked and so many missing markers, because like we just weren't looking at it before. So now we really get to allow our clients to actually advocate better for themselves if they do choose to go to their doctor and want to get testing that way or want to do things a little bit different. Like, we're not here to force testing down anyone's throat, but we are here to help people understand how to advocate for themselves a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's not always just blood work that we need. Yeah. We do a hormone saliva test, and that actually helps us to determine like cortisol as well. I believe it's waking cortisol, because you do it first thing in the morning. Yep. And that's a big one. And it's not, so it's more than just blood work. Our functional team actually pushes a lot of our clients to do a blood sugar log. Common misconception is blood sugar is just for diabetics, but your fasting blood sugar actually says a lot about how you're sleeping and your stress levels. And I think a lot of people can panic when they first see, I'm going through this with a client right now. She panicked when she saw an elevated number one morning for her blood work. And I was like, it's not necessarily, that means that it doesn't mean that you're diabetic necessarily. It actually is like, how'd you sleep that night? And she's like, well, I slept 5 hours. And I'm like, it's probably telling you aren't recovering enough for your blood sugar to actually regulate itself overnight. And so there's so many different things that we can take a look into that and I don't mean this, and doctors went to school for a long fucking time. Like, I am not here to discredit their knowledge, but they know what they know, and they don't do formal nutrition, like anything. But they also have to know about so many things, right? They have to know about every single little thing, like a bruise, a wound. Like, they have to know all the things that, like, functional. We know functional. We know the internal body, and not all the things. And so when you're just going to like, I remember I asked for blood work one time. They're like, why? And I was like, they're like, you're a healthy individual. I'm like, how do you know that? Just because I look fit doesn't necessarily mean that I'm healthy. Yeah. And taking it with a grain of salt, the reason I love our functional team is when you get the results back, like from a doctor, they're like, cool, everything's green, nice job. And I kind of alluded to that earlier on. Just because everything is in the green doesn't mean anything. You could have one thing that's in the yellow and one thing in the red that doesn't seem to matter at a glance. But when you then go and look at something else that's not functioning well, it's like, hey, well, maybe we need to look into this more, because if these two things are off, everything else could be off. And that's like a big thing with cholesterol, is people will kind of ignore cholesterol. Cholesterol is literally like the managing hormone. There's like a cascade of hormones underneath cholesterol. And everyone just thinks like cholesterol's bad. Like you shouldn't be consuming, it's a hormone and it actually manages a lot of other hormones. So if we see cholesterol is off, well, then we could also see that a ton of your sex hormones are off. And that's why you're experiencing heavy periods and intense periods and issues there. So there's so many details that go and are missed within just going to your doctor to get blood work that our functional team actually covers on a comprehensive call with you. Yep. And actually like validates that you're not insane for thinking something's wrong. Sometimes there genuinely is something wrong. And if, doctors can miss things. I mean, the functional team can miss things. We can miss things. But getting a second opinion and having the support of a functional team, I, in my opinion, think that everybody should go through that experience at least once just to see and make sure that they're in a healthy spot.
Well, I was going to bring up too, a little bit earlier, someone we know, she does a GI map once a year. Like once a year, she does a GI map. She, not even if something's wrong, she's like, I'm just going to go do a GI map because she wants to know like what she is deficient, potentially where the deficits are happening, because she had dealt with GI issues before that were a little bit more intense. So she wants to do that. And what I love about her doing that is that it's like, I was thinking about how often everyone goes into a fat loss phase. Like it's not even 2026 yet, and people are already like planning their next fat loss phase. Like, okay, when's my next one going to be? Whereas, what if we took that energy, as much energy as we give to the external of our body, and actually gave that to also the internal? Like, what if instead of like, yes, once a year go into a deficit if that's what you want, right? If that's what you want to do, go for it. But what if once a year you also like got tested? Like, what if once a year you were like, hey, before, and this is what I love. We talked a little bit about like bodybuilding a couple episodes ago, and we talked about like just ethical bodybuilding coaches and staying in your lane and that kind of stuff. But really ethical bodybuilding coaches make their clients go get tested. Like literally they will be like, you need to go get your hormones tested because we are not going to put you on stage unless we know for a fact your body can handle this. Love that about bodybuilding coaches. They make you do that before you go into a deficit. So what if you held the same standard for yourself at a lifestyle basis, not just performance and physique and like the extreme spectrums of that, but actually just from like lifestyle? You go to get your annual once a year. They don't really tell me much there. They just like, cool, like you're good. Healthy. You're healthy. Like we'll go, pull a little bit of blood from you, but like, we're not going to call you and tell you anything about it anyway. So like, have fun. Yeah. You literally get emailed like what the My Health chart, it's like in there and you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. Like this is a whole different language. And I just wish that more people would do that. And it's definitely inspired me more to even just do my own testing more. Like I know before you had gotten pregnant, you were even considering going and ordering one of the tests too. You were like, I want to see what's going on. I want to know. And I think a lot of women and men can both do that because there's a lot that they can be proactive in. And even just say it, hey, if I'm going to put my body into like deficits once a year, then I need to also get these things tested once a year. Just have continuous maintenance on it. It's also know where you need to refine because your body's going to change naturally as you get older too.
Yeah. And I think too, like so often we hear, I think it's my hormones. I think it's my hormones. I think it's my metabolism. And like, yeah, sure. But what hormones? Do you even know what's wrong with you? So it's like, yeah, sure, that's a great blanket statement and you could blame all you want, but what is actually happening behind the scenes? And I remember I used to do coaching on this app, and the people who own the app owned a supplement company. And so a ton of the girls who did the challenges on the app would go and buy this one supplement that said basically that it balances all of your hormones.
I know exactly which supplement you're talking about.
Balances all your hormones.
Because I'm fairly certain I also got it thinking it was suddenly going to heal me.
I did as well. And I would challenge, once I started doing one-on-one coaching, I wouldn't say anything to like the challenge. I was like, whatever, do what you want to do. I'm not going to prescribe you supplements, but I can't actually either. So I would start challenging my one-on-one clients. So I'm like, hey, why are you on it? They're like, well, it's helping me feel better. I'm like, but what are you solving? Like, what is the hormone you're solving? Because there's no such thing as you'll have so many hormones in your body. So many hormones.
Yeah.
There's not one supplement that is healing all of your hormones. Just poof. Oh my gosh, look, you're healed. There's no such thing. And so when we just start to say like, oh, it's my hormones. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. actually figure it out. Actually
Mhm.
figure out what hormones are the problem, because you're going to just feel a lot better moving forward when you have the answers. And then now you have the protocols to support that. Because if you just say it's your hormones, well, DHEA is a hormone. It's related to testosterone. But if that's not the problem, and now you're going and taking DHEA, it could actually be really harmful to your estrogen and progesterone. So now you're fucking up all your sex hormones because you thought it was this issue and it's not. Or maybe you think that you're low on estrogen and you're actually low on progesterone, and you're high on estrogen, you're actually estrogen dominant. Now you're taking estrogen supplementation and now you're completely estrogen dominant and seeing all these issues. So I think just getting the answers and having solidified answers, even if maybe you're like, I want to do the testing, but I don't really have money for the supplements. Well, now we can at least support through lifestyle, and maybe we support through the foods you're eating until you save up enough for supplements, and we can at least do something versus, just staying in the same spot you are now and just continuing to complain about your hormones.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think all points, it's just like get tested if you can, do what you can, do it now. I think I also said this a couple episodes ago again, but I love the quote that's like, you could have 99 problems in the world, but the moment you have a health problem, you only have one problem. Like, and
Yep.
it's all about preventing that. Because I've been there and I don't want to have another health problem. Like I would, and talking about even just being dismissed, like for me being in the ICU with my blood clots, literally the nurses that were in there, they'd be like, why are you here? Like, you're like literally 22 years old. And on the outside, I looked healthy. You wouldn't have even known. So like, there are just so many health conditions that they don't discriminate. It doesn't matter who you are. Like it can still be happening. And I think that's something that people just need to take more seriously for their like long-term health, aside from just like weight management.
Yep. I completely agree. The last thing I will say, oh my God, I think that my baby is doing gymnastics in my stomach right now. It's punching through my stomach. Last night we were watching a show and baby was moving. And I was like, Caden, I like put his hand on my stomach and I was like, just feel what I'm going through right now. And it was very minor. He's like, are you okay? He's like, is that what happens to you daily? I'm like, this is minor. Right now it was like, I flinched because it like literally punches like, anyways.
It's got, thoughts to say too on all these topics.
I read something that was like, if your baby moves 10 times in 2 hours, you have a healthy baby. I counted twice in the past 2 days. On Monday, it was 10 times in 9 minutes, and yesterday was 10 times in 8 minutes.
Baby's ready. Baby's going to be walking out of the womb.
I'm terrified. But I wanted to finish by just saying, if you are someone who is suspecting that something is going on and you just aren't sure what it is, we have a free self-assessment. It's called a BHE. It's a biometric health evaluation. I'm going to drop the link and we'll put it in the show notes for you. If you want to take it, it's completely free. Just put in the email, I think it's question number 3. You want to put hello@apexathleticscollective.com. So we get the results as well and can help you break it down. We'll just contact you and share what's going on, and we can hop on a call and just talk through it more and a little bit more of how we can support you. But that way you can at least get some answers. I did this for a client recently who was just experiencing a lot of weird like motivation issues and like things that just haven't come up with her in the past. And I was like, let's just do a BHE. Let's just see what happens. And it was perfectly green. And I was like, cool, like this is a solidification. Is that that word?
This solidified?
It solidified that nothing was actually wrong. It's more just probably like mindset over the summer and things we can work through. We don't have to go through a protocol or testing right now, but it's good to know. It was like perfectly green. It was beautiful. Loved it. But if you are someone like, we can help kind of break that down for you and just determine if like there is next steps you need to take further control of your health and like get some more further answers as well. And then if you do want to get more testing, we do have, that's something we offer to all of our, full coaching clients, is either a hormone or a metabolic test. So if that's something you're wanting to follow through with and you're listening to this, like, oh my gosh, I am terrified because I feel like these things are happening to me and I want to take control of my health again. Like, always reach out. Feel free to fill out the BHE. I'll include the email in the show notes so we can hopefully get you some more answers and have you just feeling really good.
And if you are a coach yourself and you want to potentially offer functional testing to your own clients, what's really unique through the relationship that we have built with our functional team is, and like just talking about cost for a second, like it is more affordable for you to do it through us than to contract anyone else out. Like that's a big thing for Kelsey and I, is like, how do we continue to make it like affordable for coaches, especially new coaches who don't have thousands of dollars a month to spend on something, or on a specialist, or having someone else contracted into your company. But if you are interested in offering functional, we do have that as an add-on for our coaches who do come and work with us. So if that is something that interests you, feel free to also reach out and just let us know kind of like what the scenario is, what's going on with your biz. And we'll be happy to show you those options, because it is super valuable for our coaches who do it. And I love the coaches who do it because they really like fully take advantage of it, and their clients have been able to see some baller results from it.
Yeah, oh my gosh, they're keeping Krista busy with questions. But it's so helpful for them, and they're supporting their clients so well. So if you are interested in that, there's also a link in the show notes to apply for Apex Coach Accelerator, and we'll schedule a call out with you, or you'll be prompted to actually book a call with Chris or I after applying, and we can talk through what that looks like for you.
Amazing. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
We'll see ya in the next one.
See ya.
Bye.